So lecture one is as I indicated much earlier, is about knowing the various concepts in strategic management. Okay, so we have this other concept known as strategic planning. So we've learned about strategic management. So strategic planning is not the same as strategic management. All right, what then is it? So strategic planning is the advanced sequencing of strategic management decisions by an executive or senior management. All right. Under strategic management, we said there will be formulation, there will be implementation, there will be what? Evaluation. And under each, we saw the issues that need to be addressed. If we just leave strategic management as it is, without a plan supporting the various stages, the sequencing of what we are supposed to be doing at any point in time, the strategic management will not be successful. So out of strategic management, we have what is known as strategic planning, where all the things that we discussed earlier need to be sequenced, okay? We have a sequential framework, organizational design that if we follow, we should be able to achieve the long-term purpose that we have in our strategic management. So that planning aspect of strategic management is known as strategic planning. Okay, so we take the activities in strategic management and provide some sequence, some design to those activities in order to ensure that our long-term purpose is achieved. And that is what is meant by strategic planning. Okay. So a strategic plan, I can hear something. Okay. Anybody with a question? So a strategic plan should have a defined strategy. So it's you are sequencing a strategy. So part of a strategic plan is that you should know the strategy in the first place before you can sequence that. I'm sorry if you can get some feedback. There's some work on our floors, tiles on our floor here. So construction works are kind of going on. Sorry.
Yeah, there is a small feedback I am hearing, but it is fine.
It's fine. Yeah, so they're working on that. Okay.
Yes,
So you must have a defined strategy. That is obvious. Then there must be action plans driven from this strategy. So much earlier, I explained to you that this strategy that we're talking about, they are basically decisions. All right. We'll expand, we'll not expand. We'll go to this market, we'll not go. We will form joint venture, will not form, we'll diversify. So they are basically decisions. All right. And once you make that decision, there are also activities that must be done to support that decision that you've taken. Okay. So action plans must be driven from this strategy. All right. And those action plans are the things that will be sequenced in your strategic planning. At this point in time, we'll be doing that. At this point in time, we should be doing that, and so on and so forth. Strategic planning should also bring to us the awareness of the fact that there is the difference between short and long-term plans. And now, when we started, I told you that most of the time when you hear the word strategic, we're dealing with long-term activities. And I told you also that operational is the term that is used for day-to-day activities of the organization. Okay. So in strategic planning, it brings to the awareness of the fact that we need to take into cognizance the difference between short and long-term plans. This is important because most of the time, because we are into strategy, there is a tendency to downplay short-term plans and always be thinking long-term. That
yes.
Abiakubi. Sorry.
Doctor.
Yep. A question.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, I have a network challenge at where I am. So mostly it goes off and it comes on.
That's fine. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's
So
not really just you.
yes,
Um,
I wanted to alert you.
yes. Most Idrisu is facing a similar challenge. And I can't find Jennifer again. If you guys have a contact, you can call and see what the challenge is. Okay. So I appreciate the connectivity challenges. So yes, so a strategic plan should have these things that here, but more importantly, they must show us the approaches. All right. So strategic plan should have an approach for developing strategy based on an organization's external environment and internal strategic resources. I think this is what we've been saying all day long, right? So it should give us an approach that will help us to formulate strategies based on our understanding of our external environment, as well as the internal strategic resources that we have. It should have an approach for implementing the action plans that we considered, okay, much earlier. I explained it just before this particular slide, that after we've decided in terms of the strategy that we want to pursue, there must be action plans, all right? Some things that have to be done. And these are things that we can consider to be the organization's key processes and performance measures. Later, I'll be looking at this in details. Then the strategic plan should also give us an approach for monitoring and evaluating organizational performance in relation to the strategic plan. All right. So if you look at it carefully, there's the explanation of the various components or aspects of strategic management that has been stretched out in terms of a framework, starting from how strategy itself should be formulated to how the evaluation and monitoring or control must be done. Any questions, clarifications on strategy planning? What we've done so far. Okay, if there is none, let's go to why some firms do not undertake strategic planning. The first point is that some managers do not have formal training in strategic management. So to be able to plan strategically, you should have some knowledge in strategic management. Once you have managers that do not have any clue about strategic management, then it is obvious that they may not engage in strategic planning. Okay, so that is the number one reason. Two, when there is no understanding of or appreciation for the benefits of planning. All right, so for some, they just want only action, right? They see planning to be a waste of time. You spend like 3 hours, even at our personal level, all right? The time that you want to spend thinking and planning, somebody says, I can use that, especially if you're living abroad, they can use that hours to make money. So why waste time thinking and worry, all right? But if you were to do the planning proper, the returns could exceed somebody who failed to think through their activities before embarking upon them. So sometimes the reason why firms do not engage in strategic planning is because they lack the appreciation of what the benefits of planning. Okay. The next one is no monetary rewards for doing planning. So for typical organizations, these things that we're talking about, sometimes you need consultants because it could be time consuming. Okay. And if you were to get managers who are interested in doing the strategic plan, there must be a way to compensate them because of the time and the energy that is involved in coming out with strategic plans. Once there is no monetary reward for doing the planning, there is the tendency for people not to engage in strategic planning. Okay. By the way, in your companies, do you have strategic plans? And what role did you play during the strategic planning process? Swansea? Swansea, are you online?
Yes, I'm online, sir.
Yes. Do you have strategic plans in your organization?
Yes.
Yes. Did you play any role during the development of the strategic plan?
Okay, so during the development stage, we were not so much involved, as in not all staff were involved, but at the implementation stage, every single staff is involved.
Right.
So during the development, usually it is departmental heads that are involved in taking those plans.
Right.
But when it comes to the implementation, by then we would have all been trained on what the overall plan is, and then we will be taking charge of the implementation stage.
Beautiful. Yeah, but I think you have an appreciation of how difficult and dragging that process can be. All right.
Yes, very difficult. Very difficult.
Okay. So that is that. Next one says, when there is no punishment for not planning, then obviously people will not do it. Based on the emphasis of very difficult from Swansea, you can see that it's not a small process, right? So if there are no incentives, either by way of rewards or punishments, you will not get managers on their own planning strategically. Okay. Some organizations view the planning as a waste of time since no product or service is made. I think it's very close to what we explained much earlier. Okay, so the planning stage, actually no fiscal productivity takes place. You go for conferences, meetings, and talk. Some organizations will consider that to be waste of time. Okay, and some organizations, very similar, are too busy firefighting to plan ahead. Firefighting is a term used for dealing with day-to-day challenges, right? When problems erupt, you want to solve it there and then. So as you engage in firefighting, normally there is no time and room for planning, thinking ahead of time, because you are more concerned about the day-to-day activities of your organization. All right. Any question so far on this point? Why companies do not engage in strategic planning? Okay. If there is none, let's go to pitfalls in strategic planning. So we just looked at the reasons why. And when we're explaining, it's almost as if you engage in strategic planning, then it is guaranteed that your company will be successful. But we have to note here that there are some pitfalls associated with strategic planning as well. Okay. So point one, using strategic planning to gain control over decisions and resources. So in the process, Swansea told us that normally it's the heads of department and top management from the onset, they are actively involved, and that is correct, or that is normally true, even though they must seek consult their subordinates and shop floor employees to get the information. The key work is done by them. All right. And at that stage, the temptation or the problem is that some of these managers may use that process to be able to gain control, either in terms of resources or realign the organization in such a way that they will be dominant and influencers in that particular company. So that can be a major pitfall in strategic planning. It may not be something that will make the organization successful, but because the head or manager felt it is for their personal interest, they are likely to make decisions that will not benefit the company. All right. Is this point clear? Have you understood this point?
Please, I have a question on that.
Yeah. What is the question?
So how does the top manager take control over decisions and the resources when it comes to this kind of planning?
Yes, so there may be a division. I don't know where you work, but you know there are departments in most organizations, okay? Some may involve either receiving of funds and so on and so forth. And somebody may be in charge of that. They may be head for that particular division, okay? Another head or some boss somewhere felt that that unit, the person there is becoming too powerful. So even though that unit is important and is functioning well under that divisional head, I'm just using this as an example. The boss might now decide that they want that unit to be under them, okay? Because they want to have influence or control when it comes to that particular resource. Sometimes it could be a decision to collapse that particular unit altogether just because they want to show that they are powerful in that particular organization. The examples come in several forms, okay? They're either collapsing it or joining it to another division that is under their control, or cutting budgets and resources to that particular division because they just want to show that they have control in the particular organization. This is likely to happen because that particular divisional head is probably not kowtowing or leaning to his suggestions and opinions. Is the explanation clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that can be very, very a big danger in strategic planning. And it's done in a very cunning way. Okay, the person will make arguments to support that. You might think it is in the interest of the company, but in actual sense, they're making those decisions or suggestions because of their personal interest. Okay. Doing strategic planning only to satisfy accreditation requirements, that is another pitfall. So here, if you go to the organization, they have the strategic plan, but the plan is not something that the company is following or the organization is following. They just did that because of some regulatory body that is coming to check or inspect the organization. Maybe part of the requirement is that the institution must have a strategic plan, okay? If you do that, it is a pitfall because the company will not benefit from the advantages that come from strategic planning, all right? It was only done to meet the regulatory requirements, and the import of strategic planning, the benefits that could have come from that process will not benefit the organization. Okay. Top management not actively supporting the strategic planning process. I think this is obvious, right? So from the beginning, you need the support and backing of top management. Because once again, much earlier we spoke about allocation of resources. And that is an important part of strategic planning. If they are not in support, they will not approve the budget for all this process that we just explained. So if top management doesn't support it, even when it is done, as we've just seen in the earlier point, it may not be implemented. Okay, and that can be a major pitfall in strategic planning. Failing to communicate the plan to employees who continue working in the dark. So here, Swansea's explanation comes handy. Okay, the beginning of strategic planning may be limited to just top management and divisional heads and so on and so forth. And even there, they will need the information from the employees, operational employees, in order to have a very good strategic plan. Okay, but more importantly, after this plan has been developed, it is very, very important that all employees get involved. The plan must be communicated. Employees must know what they have to do in order to ensure that the plans become successful. Okay, so once there is a failure to communicate the plan to employees, that can serve as a big problem in strategic planning. All right. Next point, top managers making intuitive decisions that conflict with the formal plan. Who will help me with an explanation of this? How do you understand it? Apia Kubi.
Hello. Yeah, so
Yes,
this
sir.
is Swansea.
Oh, Swansea, yes. Swansea, how do you
Yeah, I
understand?
am here.
So yeah, so top managers making intuitive decisions that conflict with the former plan. In my own view, I see that sometimes these decisions are in excess of what the former plan is, but in some point also they are very good because the decisions has to be taken with regards to current happenings in the industry. Sometimes some of the decisions you need to consider what is actually happening in the industry.
Mhm.
Did you anticipate that a particular action will occur before you took those strategic plans? For instance, I want to give an example. This debt exchange that happened, government debt exchange, you realize that it swept the profit of almost all indigenous Ghanaian banks. And none of these banks were able to foretell that this sort of activity will even take place. Even those that were able to have a mindset of a possible restructuring of the debt didn't even foresee that it would take the line that it took. And it affected the profit lines of all the banks. For instance, EcoBank posted a negative profit. GCB posted a negative profit. Even CarBank also posted a negative profit. The question thereof is, this top managers, didn't they see this coming? So sometimes when they take these intuitive decisions that conflict with what the actual plan is, it is good. At times, it is not. At times, on the implementation side, the top manager realizes that, okay, fine, we have taken this plan, we have put out this idea to all the staff, but during the implementation, you realize that you have to tinker around policy. So it becomes difficult to even do what you have put on paper. So sometimes that is also a reason for the top managers making such decisions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I like the two perspectives, right? But we realize that this particular point must be explained in the negative. Okay. So the point that you brought in will be addressed by the last point. Being so formal in planning that flexibility and creativity are stifled. That's another pitfall where you are not allowed to think beyond the plan. As Swansea is saying, sometimes the circumstance or the environment that might have changed, and you need to even leave the plan and think about the reality as to what is happening. Okay, so that explanation fits into this. But this point, what we're trying to explain, as you also came in the second part of your explanation, is the fact that some managers, in spite of the money that will have been invested in coming up with a strategic plan, may on their own choose not to implement the tenets of the strategic plan. All right. And here it is a problem because these intuitive decisions are not scientific. Sometimes you just feel like it, right? It's not even informed by what the happenings in the environment. But you had a dream last night that said that if we do this, my company will be successful. What is the science behind that? Okay, so that is also another pitfall where businesses or managers of business will leave strategic plans and rather go for their own intuition, what their intuition tells them to do. Swansea, do you get the point?
Yes, sir, I get it.
Good. So that is the context. It is negative, yes, so we have to explain it in that context. But I agree with you, and your explanation falls under the lack of flexibility and creativity. Okay, that is another problem also. If you are also a manager that gets bogged down on your strategy plan, it could also work against the company because the environment keeps changing and you may have to change from your plan sometime. Okay. that naturally moves us to what is known as strategic change. All right. You might have developed your plan, just as you've explained. You have your vision, mission, you have your long-term objectives, you have your strategies. But there are times that you need to embark on what is known as strategic change. Okay, what is it? Strategic change is a type of transformational change that aims to move an organization to a higher level of performance. It works by concentrating an organization's energy and resources on a few critical success factors or strategic priorities in order to achieve a desired state and market position. All right. So the fact that you have a strategy in place doesn't mean it is written in stone and cannot be changed. But you need to be mindful that the idea of strategic change is not so much about changing the vision of the organization. If you are changing the vision of the entire organization, what it means actually is that probably you want to get into a different business altogether. Okay, but what we do, or what you have to do in strategic change, is to concentrate the organization's energy and resources on key or few critical success factors in order to cause the company to be successful. Are we clear up to this point? Have we understood strategic change?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've heard from
Well,
Emmanuel
well,
Apia Kubi. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm here, sir. Yes, I'm following you, but I was talking to you.
Okay.
But there was somebody on the floor. That is why I didn't want to unmute it.
All right.
Yeah, I was talking to. I was responding to the question you asked. That do we understand? And I said yes, we understood it. I understood it very well.
Okay. So you want to bring about transformational change, all right? But we want to emphasize that strategic change doesn't mean you are deviating totally from your vision as a company. As a matter of fact, you simply want to quicken the pace at which you achieve the vision that you've set for yourself as an organization, okay? So you want to pay attention to the critical success factors of the industry so that you concentrate more on these factors in order to help you to achieve the objectives, long-term objectives that you set for yourself in your vision. All right. So what are the critical success factors? I'm sure along the line we will explain these factors in details, but once they are here, so there are these factors that as a company you need to have in order to be successful in a particular industry. Okay, so let's take telecommunication, for example. What do you think are the critical success factors? If you're a telecommunication company, what are the variables that will determine your success in Ghana? Yes, anybody to help me?
Yes, so
or anywhere in the world. If you're a telecommunication industry, what are the key success factors?
Yeah, this is Swansea.
Swansea, yes.
I think for a telecommunication company, one of the key variables is your active subscriber base. So,
what do you have to do?
What I mean by active?
No, Swansea.
Hello.
Swansea.
Yes, sir.
I'm interested in what you should be doing in order to get the active subscription base.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So those are the critical success factors. So what are the things?
Okay, so what you should be doing is one, to have a competitive pricing for your product.
Good.
Yes, for your product. For instance, if you could remember, when MTN decided to take off they had a bundle that we used to buy. When they decided to take it off, what Vodafone did as a counter marketing strategy was to introduce a package that was cheaper than even the previous MTN bundle. So a lot of MTN customers who were using their bundle now had to move to Vodafone.
Okay, so
for especially their bundle.
Yeah, Swansea, I get your point. So if we establish competitive.
So first, competitive pricing is one.
Yeah, two. Frederick. I think Swansea is having problem with its network. Frederick.
Oh, networking here. Networking here. Yes, hello.
Yes, who is speaking?
So two would have to do with the efficiency of the service that is given to the customers.
And when we talk about the efficiency of service from the customer's perspective, how will they measure efficiency?
So from the customer's perspective, let's say if let's say I'm a customer of any of the telecommunication networks, wherever I move to, I'm able to have internet. How do we
call that? To be able to access internet or calls wherever you go. What term can we give to that?
Can I come in?
Yes, please.
I think that would be providing the reliable and high quality network coverage.
Very close, but that is a separate point.
Please come again.
What point did you mention, please? I had some interruptions, so I couldn't focus.
I said to ensure or providing reliable and high quality network coverage.
So high quality, but what do you mean by high quality coverage?
I mean, to ensure that the customers can stay connected and have seamless communication experience.
Okay. So high quality. Then what again? But Swansea was explaining the point that can be described as what is known as geographic coverage. Okay. Why geographic?
I think in line with the connectivity.
So here we're talking about geography. Wherever I am, it's different from quality. Okay.
Sure.
The network will be very good, but probably it is not widespread. You know how this telecommunication move, right? They will probably start from Accra before you realize they will tell you we are now at Obuasi, we are now at Tamale. Okay. So the quality is different from wider geographic coverage. Okay. So if we just stay with these three, we have competitive pricing, we have quality of whatever the calls or the internet connectivity, then we have wider geographic coverage. So these are some of the things. So these are the things that you must have in order to be successful in the telecommunication industry. Okay, we're just using this as a sample. So these are the terms that we can classify as critical success factors in this particular industry. It is not the same across every industry. For some industry, probably it might be the quality of management. It could be, say, advertisement or promotions, and so on and so forth. So it is just important that as a strategist, you know about the critical success factors in your industry. And when you're engaging in strategic change, these are the things that you want to focus on to change the way you're currently doing them. All right. If the pricing is not too competitive and you want to undertake strategic change, you want to find out how you can price your services in a way that is more competitive than your rivals. If the quality of your connectivity is not too good, in strategic change, what type of technology can you invest in order to improve the quality of your connectivity? All right. Wider geographic coverage. What type of investment do you have to make in order to increase your geographic coverage? Okay, so an understanding and investment in your critical success factors or strategic priorities in order to achieve a new desired state and market position is what is known as strategic change. All right. So the direction of the change is guided by a strategy aimed at achieving a vision of a future state. So we don't like the amount of profit that we're making right now or whatever it is. So we want to focus on our critical success factors in order to improve our position in that particular market. Okay. When conditions are stable, strategic change is implemented through continuous improvement. So if the environment is stable, you may continually, and continuous improvement is another concept that we'll be looking at very soon after this. All right. You want to gradually improve upon these critical success factors. All right. If conditions are stable, the fact that you're making profit, the fact that everything is going on well, doesn't mean your business should remain the same. You must continually seek to improve your critical success factors in order to remain competitive in your industry. All right. So if you have a stable condition, you don't wait till things get very bad before you engage in strategic change. You continually must identify the critical success factors and find a way to improve upon them from time to time. All right. So we have types of strategic change. You can undertake strategic change through restructuring. All right. Here, organizations may need to reorganize aspects of their business in order to remain competitive. Much earlier, when I was talking about strategy implementation, we spoke about how to align the structure with the strategy. Do you remember? Okay. The fact that your structure, organizational structure, must support your strategy. All right. So that is where this idea of restructuring is coming from. There may be instances where you may have to let go a particular layer or division in order to remain more competitive. If you remember our discussions around bureaucracy, where you need more layers or hierarchies in order to ensure that there won't be corruption, checks and balances, against where you want to be more customer responsive, where you need more flattened organizational structure. So depending upon what you want to achieve, you want to go and reorganize some aspects. Sometimes you have to lay off some layers, cut it and make it short so that you can address customer complaints and needs more quicker. Okay. If you want to be more compliant too, and you want more bureaucratic, maybe you have to introduce more layers so that you have more officers or executives to check certain decisions before they are approved. So depending upon the strategic change that you want, you have to go back and reorganize some aspects of your business. Okay. You can do strategic change through re-engineering. So this is where you redesign the business processes and related systems in order to improve performance. So this time around, the changes is not about the structure of the organization. It's about the processes by which certain services or certain products get manufactured or produced. You want to go and look at the processes. Sometimes the delay in probably sending being first to send a product to the market might be because of your supply chain activities. All right. Maybe you are too dependent on just one supplier. Or when it comes to negotiation, it drags too much and so on and so forth. Or the problem could be in manufacturing. Some machines and equipment have gone bad. You may have to replace the type of technology and so on and so forth. So the internal business processes, that is where the re-engineering comes in here, okay? You can focus on that, and that may bring about the strategic change that you desire. Is the explanation clear? Is it clear? Swansea.
Yes, sir.
Swansea, can you differentiate between the restructuring and the re-engineering?
Please, the question again.
What is the difference between restructuring and re-engineering as methods or types of strategic change?
Okay, so restructuring, per my understanding, will mean to give a different direction of a particular project. So the same project, but you realize that the formation of how, oh no, that would be re-engineering. This so you let me put my thoughts together and come back.
Okay. Asante. Frederick. I've left out Osborne. Osborne.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference? Restructuring and re-engineering.
For the restructuring, I believe to restructure in the sense that you review the strategies already that have been planned already. Either you change some elements or you add some element, the kind of innovating you are planning. And to re-engineer, how are you going to arrange the restructured plans?
Hey, Osborne. Are you sure?
That's for the restructuring. I'm coming again.
Mm-hmm. For the restructuring, yes.
I think is having the elements or the structures organized differently other than the before. I mean the previous ones. So and the re-engineering is when you
example.
Let's say used to convey product by foot or by land.
Okay.
And now, for the sake of time and to get more competitive advantage, you're going by air, which is the fastest way of transporting products.
Are you not sure that is re-engineering?
Wow.
You see how confusing those terms can be?
Yes, very confused terms.
Whose hand is up?
Somebody just help me here.
Sir, let me also share my thoughts a little bit.
Hello.
Who is speaking? Api Akubi?
Yes, please.
Hello, Frederick.
Okay. Right.
My thoughts, I think that in my view, the restructure has to do with redeveloping a portion of your business.
What does that mean?
Let's say you have a company that produces, let's say, mineral water, and you realize that before you were producing sachet water, but you realize that the people are patronizing the bottled water much more. So you restructure to involve.
No, that is the last one. That is innovation. It's the use of skills and resources to create new ideas or improve existing ones.
Okay.
It's also a form of strategic change, but it falls under innovation.
Okay.
Hey.
And about the re-engineering too. Let me share this and see. The re-engineering.
Get restructuring first.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
A little bit confusing.
I want to say something. Okay, so from my understanding,
please speak loudly. We hardly.
Okay. Okay, I'm saying that from my understanding, I think the restructuring has to do with
it has to do with
the organizational structure.
What about it?
So let's say for this one, maybe you can change certain people in certain positions or the way things are done at certain levels. And for the re-engineering, I think you have to do with the core business of the organization. That's the one.
Once you bring in the way things are done, that becomes re-engineering. Okay, restructuring, as you said, is about how the organization is organized. All right.
Okay.
So there is, I don't know how to put it. If you go to GS, right, you have assistant director 1, 2, 3, you know those things. And it comes because once you meet that, I think those number of years, you necessarily have to be promoted or something of that sort. Okay. So assuming that before you get the either the headmaster or the main director to sign some document for you, assistant director 1 up to assistant director 5 must look at it before the final person signs. If you use that same mindset and you want to operate a business, you will fail, okay? Because customers will not have time for you. So if GS now even feels that their students are also customers, and there have probably been complaints about how they don't handle their complaints faster and so on and so forth. Restructuring is where you cut down all those levels of directors that students must go to before they can get their complaints resolved. Is the explanation clear? So instead of having 5 assistant directors, you may just have 1 assistant director and the main director. Okay, that is restructuring. Restructuring could also mean that we've explained that much earlier. When I used the example of a restaurant that serves water and decides to close down that part of the business, okay, you've identified there is a unit. When you do your managerial accounting, you realize that they always bring losses, all right? Probably the best thing is to close down that particular division, okay? So the structures and the organization, you want to realign them, close some divisions, some positions or levels, you have seen them to be less important. They just waste resources, or they just make your organization more bureaucratic. You want to close that down or leave out those positions. That is an example of restructuring, all right? When you want to concentrate on how things are done within the organization, that is what is known as re-engineering, okay? So somebody used, I don't know whether it was Osborne, you want to sell, and formerly you used to walk. Okay, now re-engineering might say use a motorbike, right? Or he went even for flight. That is where you now want to quicken the pace of the processes within your organization. That is what is known as re-engineering. Is the explanation clear? Are we clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear.
Osborne,
Yes, sir.
are you clear?
Not really, sir.
Hey, after all this talking. So restructuring as the name.
So sir, let me also cite this example if I'm right.
Okay.
When you go to local governments, they have director. Let's say they have the district chief executive.
Mm-hmm.
They have the director. They have assistant director 2B. They have assistant director before the finance officers and the accountants and the lesser ones. So the restructure could also mean that if we want to restructure local government right now, we will sweep off all the assistant directors and get only 1 assistant director to the DC, then they work together.
Beautiful. You are now my teaching assistant. Huh?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so that's the idea. So it's about the positions and levels within the organization. You want to close some down, so it's coming from structure, the structure of the organization, okay? Re-engineering is about how things are done in the organization. You want to either improve the technology in terms of speed, in terms of quality, in terms of cost reduction, all right? All of that will be done through what is known as re-engineering. And that is an example of strategic change as well, okay? You can also do strategic change through innovation. And I think that point has been explained. Who explained something I said that was innovation? Using water. Osborne, yes. So
Pierre could be did that. There could be the explanation on that.
Okay, no problem. Don't let us fight. We are online. Online, you won't be able to hit anybody. Okay, so that is another type of strategic change where you now want to create a new product or improve upon an existing product. All right. So by this, I think we are clear. Restructuring, re-engineering, and innovation as types of strategic change.